One of the reasons why you don't get what you want is because you, my love, keep getting in your own way. You do. And this is not a problem with you. This is you, me, it's your neighbor, it's your mother, it's your best friend. Everyone does this. We're masters in self-sabotaging. It is insane the things that we do to play against ourselves. It's crazy. And you might be listening to this and you're like, you are crazy. Because why would I play against myself? I know what I want. I know what I have to do to get there. I would never do something that would jeopardize me getting to this place or becoming this. But I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to push back. Because here's the thing, self-sabotaging is one of the things that is so unconscious. We do it so unconsciously that you have no idea that you're doing it. And the moment you become aware of it, the moment that you understand, oh, wait a second, I'm actually avoiding this. I'm avoiding this success. I'm avoiding this getting to this place deep down, then you have the power to change your life. I know this sounds extremely dramatic. I know this sounds dramatic, but it is the reality. In anything in your life that is anything that's unconscious, the moment that becomes conscious, the moment that you become aware of it, then you have the power to change because then you have a choice. You can say, hey, I understand that I tend to act this way, so I'm going to choose to act a different way, even though that means dealing with fear, even though that means dealing with certain sort of shame, whatever that might look like, you have a choice. So come have a seat at the adults table. Let's talk about self-sabotage. I'm Fernanda Rodriguez, and welcome to the adults table. This is probably the 10th time that I try to record this episode because I'm trying to do just one take, not edit, not skip certain parts of the episode. And it's hard. It is hard because I'm trying to think as I speak. I don't even I have some talking points here, but I don't have a script that I'm following. And English is my second language. So this is a challenge. This is pretty challenging. But I do think that part of the beauty of podcasts and this type of content is authenticity. I think it's the most important thing. So that's why we're going to try it. We're going to try this format. If it becomes too painful for you to listen to, let me know. And then we go from there. We see what to do. But anyway, let's get into the topic today, which is self-sabotaging. I am extremely passionate about this topic. I'm passionate, honestly, about anything that stands behind the reason why we do or don't do certain things. Because many of us, I think most of us, honestly, we just stay in the surface. We think that, yeah, the reason why I do this is X, Y, and Z. The reason why I don't do this is X, Y, and Z. And then I tell myself the story. I believe in that. So I spend all my life trying to solve that thing, that problem that I think is the problem that is preventing me from getting somewhere. I spend all of my energy, all my resources looking at that. When in reality, there might be something deeper. There might be something that's hidden. That might be something that you're not being able to see right now. But once you do, that's when real change happens. So we have to dig in. We have to dig deeper. We have to challenge ourselves to actually get in touch with the things that we do or that we don't do and the things that we truly believe, right? So we can address things properly. So when it comes to self-sabotaging, the first thing that I'll say, and if you've been listening to this podcast, you already know this because I've been saying this every episode, I think. It's something that I think is so fundamental, and many of us still don't know this, which is the fact that we fear success. We're not just afraid of rejection. We're not just afraid of being seen trying. We're not just afraid. We're also afraid of success, which I know sounds wild. You're probably like, why would I be afraid of something that's good for me? And when I say success, I mean anything that works out as you want, right? Anything that you want working out as you wish, basically. It's not just, you know, career success. It's not just financial success. Is anything working out the way that you want to? Okay. That's what I mean by success. So you might be saying like, but no, if something is good for me, I want it. Of course I want it. Of course I would do anything in my power to get it because I know it's good for me. But I hate to break it to you. That is not, it's just not true. Because even though something might be beautiful on paper, might be amazing, super positive, there are unconscious things that sometimes control us that prevent us from getting there. So let's talk about this for a second, and then we're going to get to some of the ways that we sabotage ourselves. The reason why we fear success so much is because it comes with a lot of things. It comes with change for starters. And once your life changes, you know what also changes? Predictability. So right now, your life must suck. You might be in a place that you're like, I hate this, but it's predictable. You might be suffering, you might be annoyed at your life, at the people in your life, but you know what to expect. And our brain is very comfortable with that. Our brains love to be able to predict things, and it's comfortable. So the moment things change, they also become unpredictable. You don't know what to expect. You can imagine, you can picture that in your mind, but you don't know what it's going to be. The second reason why we fear success is that success makes you say goodbye to things and to people. You have to let go of certain things. And again, even though might not be happy with your life, you're also used to that setting. The moment you become successful, the moment things work out the way that you want them to, you're going to have to say goodbye to things. So, what do you have to say goodbye to? Who do you have to say goodbye to? Sometimes it's just going to be your routine. Sometimes it's going to be your parents. You might have to move to a certain place and your parents are going to keep living in your hometown. So you're going to have to quote unquote leave them behind. Sometimes you're going to have to say goodbye to friendships. You're going to have to say goodbye to predictability, which we just talked about. You're going to have to say goodbye to a city, whatever it is, and figure out what it is for you. But we have to say goodbye to things, and that's tough. That's hard. The other thing that change brings to our lives in success is the fear of losing. So, right now, you might be afraid that you're never going to get something or you're never going to become something, and you might suffer that you don't because you don't have it. But once you do have it, then you have to deal with the fear of losing it. And that is it's a tough fear to have. The other reason why we fear success is that maybe going through the process and doing what you actually need to do in order to get there, that comes with yourself challenging your self image. Let me try to explain this in a clear way. And I talked about this. I think it was one of the very last episodes. So your ego is your self image. Okay. So whenever someone says, "Oh, your ego is your enemy," your ego. First of all, your ego is not your enemy. But this is a conversation that we can have another time. But whenever someone says, "Oh, you're acting out of ego," it means that you're trying to protect your self image. You're trying to protect your self image, right? So you have this idea of yourself, and challenging that idea is too painful. You're used to that idea, and challenging that is hard. So a lot of times we act to preserve that self image, and that might go against what we want. Because maybe what we want requires us to challenge the self image, to expand, right? So we try to avoid that as well. There are so many things. Sit down with yourself and literally grab a piece of paper and write down, if I get what I want, then what? What happens? How does that really make me feel? Other than the excitement, other than oh, that's great. How does it really make me feel? Really ask yourself, then what? And you're going to learn so many things about the way that you operate and the idea that you really attach to success. I recently did this the other day because it's one of those things that you overlook. You're like, oh, I'm just going to sit down and write down what this means to me. I know what it means to me, but don't underestimate this. The other day, I'm like, oh, I really want to interview more people for my podcast. I really do. I know that I have to do it. I know that I want to do it. And I have a list of people that I want to reach out to. And some of these people are very, it's people that I know. So it's not even like a long shot. But I feel so weird asking people to be on the podcast. I don't know why. And then I sat down with myself and I'm like, okay, if they say yes, which equals success, then what? And if they say no, then what? And then once you start writing that down, and once you read that to yourself, you're like, okay, I get it. You already start seeing some of the things that you're trying to protect, some of the things that you're not trying to get in touch with. One second, I need to get some water. Okay, I might have to cut this. This one take thing might not be working. Anyway, but going back to what we were saying, really sit down with yourself and ask yourself, if I get this, then what? What does it say about me? Ask yourself that question. What does it say about me? What am I going to have to face if they say yes, if this happens? Okay. Again, don't trust the first layer that your brain tells you. Don't trust that because we're lazy and we avoid getting in touch with things that are painful for us. So, really putting the time and the work to list what it means to get what you want. That being said, you are going to try to get in your own way many times to avoid challenging the self image, to avoid unpredictability, to avoid change, to avoid all of these things that we just talked about. Okay, that you're gonna know your reason. I'm not here to tell you about your reason. I'm just here to challenge you to think of what that reason might be. But what are some of the ways that self sabotage presents itself in your life that you might not even realize? For this one, I am going to review my talking points here because I have 8 points that I've listed. And again, tell me if you think of any others. But the first one, this one is so funny, is when you get to an eternal planning stage. You're that person that you're always like, yeah, I want to do this. I have a clear vision, a clear idea, but I still have to figure it out X, Y, and Z before doing it. And you're always figuring something out. You're always planning that one thing that you want to do. You spend years, and then you next thing you know is that you've spent all of your life just planning, just in the planning stage. And planning is super important. You want to plan, right? You don't want to be the person that's just like, okay, let me go out there and risk everything or risk, I don't know, do something that's high risk and see how it goes. Sometimes you need that. But many other times, you do need to sit down and plan and have a clear plan, right? So the problem is not planning. The problem is the eternal planning stage because that practice gives you the idea of progress. And that's why it is so tricky because you think that deep down, you think that you're moving forward because you're planning so much. You talk about that thing so much, you think about that thing so much that your brain doesn't distinguish that from doing the actual thing. Your brain thinks that it is doing the work. So you lie to yourself thinking that it's just a matter of planning, that you're not there yet, that you still need to do this, you still need to do that. When in reality, you are just substituting action with planning. And that is tough. So that is the first way. The second way is that you procrastinate. Oh my goodness. Let's talk about procrastination. Procrastination, my love, is not just laziness. It's not because you're a lazy person. No, you're not. You're not a lazy person. Procrastination, many times, is just you avoiding to be seen. You just don't want to be seen. So you don't do what you have to do. So you start distracting yourself with so many other things that keep you where you are because that's comfortable, right? Going out there and doing what needs to be done means that you're going to have to face things that you don't have to face. It might be because that activity is too boring and you don't want to be bored. It might be because that activity requires a lot from you mentally and you don't want to deal with that. It might be because you're ashamed. You don't want to show yourself. So doing that activity means that you're going to have to face that shame. It might be because you might gonna have to admit to yourself that you don't know. It might be because you're gonna be, I don't know, you're gonna fear that you're gonna look stupid while you do it, So you're trying to avoid something. You're not procrastinating just because you're lazy. No, what is it that you're trying to avoid? Right? So the procrastinator, and I hate it. People are like, I'm such a procrastinator. It's like, dude, call it for what it is. What is it that you're insecure about? What is it that you're trying to avoid? Why are you trying to avoid to be seen? Guys, seriously, be careful with the relationship that you create with these cute little terms. procrastination, perfectionist, procrastination, perfectionist. oh my gosh. See, look at me repeating this because I thought about editing. If we, anyway, let's go back to what we're saying. So I'm a perfectionist. I'm this, I'm that. No, call it for what it is. Call it for what it is. If you're procrastinating, it's because you're insecure about something. What is it that you're trying to avoid? Okay, great. Now, if we're talking about perfectionism, let's talk about the third way that we self sabotage, which is perfectionism. Yay, you got it. So many people that I would say that probably 89% of the people that I know say that they're perfectionists. Oh, I don't do this because I'm such a perfectionist. Oh, I'm dealing with my perfectionism. Really? Really? Cuz yeah, we like good work. Awesome. That's amazing. That's actually a great thing to have and a great way to be. You like to do great work. You don't want your work to look like shit. That's amazing. It's not a flaw. But another water break, 1 second. But here's the problem when you're a perfectionist is that you also substitute that with action, right? You're always waiting for that to be perfect. And you're waiting for it to be perfect, not because you like doing good work, but because you don't want to be imperfect. Listen to this again, okay? The perfectionist is not addicted to perfection. The perfectionist is afraid of imperfection. There's a difference. You're insecure about being seen and not being perfect and not being amazing. You're insecure. So call it for what it is. It's not this cute little term that is like, oh my gosh, I'm a perfectionist. Look at this. Look how, innocent I am. No, it's because we're insecure. So yeah, we have to be okay with the fact that something doesn't have to be in its perfect state. It doesn't need to. We can start like this. We can start with, in this podcast, for example, look at this camera. I'm just here in the room, in a chair. You know what I want to have? I want to have a full ass table because it's called the adults table. I want to have a beautiful table and I want to have people around the table and I want to do round tables and I want to, have awesome people join. And I already have awesome people joining the podcast, but this is what I want. But right now, what can I do? Yeah, I can invite those people. I can start having those conversations. But can I afford a gorgeous ass table? No, I can't. Can I afford cameras right now? Can I have 3 cameras filming me in different angles? No, I can't. Objectively, I cannot. Is that going to stop me? It could. Deep down, honestly, every time I upload a video, I'm like, it's not yet what I want. Every single time. But that doesn't stop me because, again, when that thing becomes conscious, it becomes a choice. So you can make a choice. You can say, I am going to deal with the discomfort of that thing not being perfect. I am going to deal with the fact that I'm ashamed, maybe that, that it doesn't look the way that I want it to look. And I'm going to deal with it because it's part of the process. And if I choose not to deal with it, it means that I'm choosing to stay stuck. So don't romanticize your perfectionism. Don't give in to your perfectionism. You know, yeah, say, okay, great. I love things looking great. I want to do a good work. Yes, you can do a good work. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay? Perfectionism. Okay. Fourth point. I love this one too. I love all, because again, those are all very unconscious. So let's bring them to consciousness. The fourth one is I don't have the time. I have too much to do. Okay, time. Let's talk about time. Not all of us have the same amount of hours in our days. We don't. Okay, let's start off by saying this. Your reality might be very different than mine, and our realities are very different than Kim Kardashian's, for example. Okay, she has much more time than we do. Although she has more things to do, she has more people to do them for them, right? For her, right? Yes. So we don't all have the same hours in the day, but we do have some time to dedicate to things that matter to us, right? Not to mention that also we fill up our days with choices. We make choices. Oh, I want to have kids. So yeah, that takes up time. Oh, I want to work this specific job and it's not a 9 to 5. Oh, I want this, I want that. There are things in life that are not choices, period. Okay. But for others, they are. So we also have to own that. That being said, we also, all of us have some time in the day, some. Maybe you don't have 2 hours to work out, but maybe you have 20 minutes. You have some, you know. But what we do is that we're not wise about that time. We just waste that time with whatever. We waste it on social media, we waste it on whatever. And you also need time to decompress. You also need time to just scroll. You also need time to just shut off your brain. You don't have to be productive all the time. But again, what I'm saying is that you have some time in your day. But what we do, and this is what I want to focus on when I talk about timing, is that we find endless tasks to do, but that one thing that needs to be done. We fill up our calendars and our time with useless things. And we stay with this idea that all those things are important and that they matter, when actually they're just placeholders. They're just there to make you feel like you're doing something, and that the issue is that you don't have time. So you believe that, yeah, the problem is that I don't have time. When sometimes you are, again, filling up your calendar and your time with things that don't matter, you know? So by doing things that don't matter, you're avoiding doing something that matters, but comes with fear, shame, whatever. So you're avoiding those feelings, and you're believing that, it's because you're so busy. Seriously, I was thinking about this yesterday because I do that all the time. I do that all the time. I'm like, I have to do this, but I'm afraid to ask. Okay, let's talk about the example that I was talking about earlier about inviting people to the podcast. I'm afraid to ask. I'm afraid to ask. Objectively, how long does it take for me to ask someone to be in the podcast? Well, considering, I don't know, maybe I want to do like a personalized outreach, I want to be relevant in my outreach. Let's say that like it takes 40 minutes tops if I include research, whatever. It might, if it includes more research, it might be more longer than that. But anyway, it's no longer than an hour or a couple of hours. I don't know. And then I could do that. I have an hour in my day. I have 30 minutes. I have 20 minutes. I have 10 minutes. I have, depending on who I'm reaching out to, I have 2 minutes. But I'm scared. I don't want them to say no. Or if they say yes, I also have my own other fears around that. So I start doing everything else. I say, oh, actually, I have to do this in my house. I have to do that. I have to call this person. I have to call that person. Next thing I know, oops, it's already 11 o'clock, 11 p.m. So reaching out to them right now, I don't think it's a good idea. So let's just do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes, and then I fill up my day with useless things again. It's not because something, like, not everything is important. And you can say, yeah, you know what? I'm going to stop going around in circles, and I'm going to sit down and do that one thing that I'm avoiding, that one thing that I'm pushing, that I know it's going to move the needle. I know it's what I need to do, but I'm avoiding. So that's the other lie that we tell ourselves. Fifth point. Oh, when you say, when you say, this is not the right time, I'm waiting for God's time, or the universe time. I do believe that things take time to mature. I do believe that there is such thing as life's time and the universe time. I do believe that. But I think sometimes we use that in our favor to avoid doing what we need to do. Sometimes it's just us not wanting to deal with the consequences of our actions, the consequences of doing that thing that we need to do. So we just try to say that it's a problem with the current time or the timing of things. When in reality, it's like, no, it's because you have to get out there and do it. It's not because, like, sometimes life is like, honey, it's time. Let's go. And you're there. You're just sitting in the comfort of your current state because it feels good. It's predictable, remember? So sometimes life is like, come on, I'm ready. And you are there stuck. So it's really easy to say, oh, it's because it's not life's and God's timing. Like, no, bro. Are you doing everything that you can? If you're not, then it's not a matter of God's timing. It's a matter of you owning that thing that you want to do. It's a matter of you getting in touch with your feelings and emotions that you're trying to avoid. It's about you facing them. It's about that. It's about you. Take responsibility, my love. Again, there is such thing as the time of things and to mature. Yes, yes. But if you're a person who is always blaming everything on God's time, then come on, sit down and let's do your part. Okay. Sixth point, you're waiting for signs. You're that person that you're like, God, if this is for me, send me signs. God, if this is not for me, send me signs. Once again, my love, we're adults here. This show is called The Adults Table. As adults, we're able to deal with consequences. Okay? Stop trying to say that, like, stop trying to wait for all of the signs in the world because you can own the consequences of your actions. As an adult, you you're able to survive if things don't go your way. You're going to be fine. I trust you. You have it in you. You got your back. It's okay. You don't need every sign in the world to tell you that, yes, this is the right choice. As adults, there are choices and consequences. It's not, oh, this is the right choice. This is the wrong choice. There are smarter choices than others, but whatever choice you make in your life, you are going to have to deal with the consequences. And as an adult, you can do it. So, again, yes, sometimes we do need signs. We do need to see outside of us that something in a path that we're trying to pursue is aligned to who we are. Sometimes we need to see things outside of us. We need to see it in somebody else. We need to see it in a random sign. And God, AKA your unconscious mind, is going to send you those signs. Really. But if you're a person who simply, like, you don't trust your own self to make your own decisions, then there are no signs in the world. There are going to be enough. You're always going to be like, no, I need one more sign. I need this one more sign. And then life or your unconscious or God sends you the sign and you're like, actually, I might need one more. So come on, you're self-sabotaging. Come on, come on, come on, come on. You can do this. You can deal with the consequences of your choices. All right. Seventh way that we self-sabotage ourselves. We start telling us that people suck. Like, people haven't seen me. People haven't recognized me. People haven't really given me a chance. Okay? We start to tell ourselves that story. It's just that no one has given me a chance yet. It's just that these people suck. I'm in the wrong place with the wrong people because these people cannot see me for who I am. And yes, in everything. Do you see how everything that I'm saying here, there's two sides, right? Because yes, there are situations that is the case. That is the case, that you do have to change the people who are around you, or that you have to show yourself to the right people, right? Yeah, 100%. But many other times, what we do is then, by saying that people don't recognize you, that people don't see that you can do X, Y, and Z, that people are not giving you a chance, by saying that, oh, all of these people suck, you are telling yourself that you're special. And although you are a unique human being, you're a beautiful human being, you are unique, you're awesome, you're not special. And it hurts to accept that, but it's also freeing. It's the best thing in the world when you recognize and understand that no, you're not special. But it's comfortable to think that you are. Because when you think you're special, you think that the reason why you're not getting the things that you want is because people haven't seen how special you are. It's not because you have to go out there, you have to put in the work, you have to face your fears, you have to face your shame, you have to risk being wrong, you have to risk making a mistake, you have to risk failing, you have to risk looking like a clown. Like, it is easier. It is much easier to just tell yourself, I'm special and I'm just waiting for someone to recognize me, because that's what you say deep down. When you say, oh, it's just that no one has given me a chance. It's because these people don't see me. It's because these people this, these people that. It's way easier to say this than really go through the process that it is to pursue something that you want. Because that comes with rejection. That comes with all of those feelings that I just talked about. And it's hard because you have to challenge your self-image, AKA your ego. And who wants to do that? Nobody. So it is easier to believe deep down, even though you don't say this to you consciously in your head. You don't say, I'm special, because you would sound like an asshole. So you don't say that to yourself. But deep down, the person who looks at others and say, oh, people don't understand me. People don't appreciate me. The person who always says this wants to believe that they're special because they don't want to face, the reality of life, which is, yeah, you got to put yourself out there. So we tell ourselves that all the time. The other thing that we tell ourselves, which is my last point here, is, well, but I don't want this anyway. How many times have you done this? I've done this many times, many. That when it gets to a point that I know I'm going to have to face some things that I fear, I'm going to have to get in touch with sides of me that I don't want to get in touch with. I want to preserve my self image. I'm too afraid of breaking that self image. Then sometimes I go to that sphere of life, to that area. I say, well, I didn't want that much anyway, you know? Because again, it's way easier to make yourself believe that the reason why something didn't work out is because you lost interest. It's easier to tell yourself that story versus telling yourself, the reason why something didn't work out is that I was too scared, is that I didn't want to, seem stupid, is that I didn't want to make mistakes, is that I didn't want to say goodbye to something. The reason why it didn't work out is that I found out that I wasn't good enough at that. The reason why it didn't work out is that I didn't have the skills. The reason that I didn't work out is that people kept saying no to me because I guess this says something about me, you know? Tell me that's not hard. Like it is. Who wants to go through that? No one. But as adults, we have to because that's the process of things and it's the price of things. We attach our worth so much with what people are going to think about us, about with the mistakes that we make, the mistakes that we don't make. And by doing so, we avoid putting ourselves in positions that we might, you know, look stupid. We're going to be seen trying. So it is easier for us to convince ourselves that something doesn't matter as much. We just lost interest. So, yeah. All of these things, my loves, are things that we do and we end up self-sabotaging and we end up getting in our own way and we end up not addressing what's really behind the reason why we're not pursuing something fully, the reason why we're not giving our full yes to something. The moment that you give your full yes to something, you agree with going through all of this process, all of this fear, all of this shame, all of these challenges. And yeah, that's not for everybody. That's not for everything in life. So I think the best we can do really is to become aware of the ways that we tend to self sabotage. So once we start doing these things, once we start falling into the traps that we create for ourselves, we can catch ourselves and be like, okay, I'm doing this again. So let me treat myself with grace, but also let me make a choice on how to act. Let me have a conversation with myself and say, yeah, you know what, Fernanda, it's going to be hard the first times. You're going to be very ashamed. You're going to be very uncomfortable. But the more you do it, the more comfortable it becomes. And even if it never becomes comfortable, it's the price of things and you have to do it. And adults do what needs to be done, not what feels comfortable, you know? So tell me what are some of the other ways that you self sabotage? Because we might be doing it without knowing. Thank you. And I'll see you on the next episode at the Adults Table.